Hey, everybody. I am Portia Sabin. I am the president of the Music Business Association, and welcome to Music Biz Live. We do Music Biz Lives every first Monday. I think it's the first Monday of, no, it's the second Monday. Gosh, see, it's a Monday. Second Monday of the month. And this month is March, Women's History Month. And we thought this would be a great time to talk to an all-female team that had a lot to do with the success of a specific song. This one will be really a cool one in terms of if you're sort of a music geek, in terms of digging into really sort of the anatomy of a hit and how, what happens behind the scenes to make a song successful or to make a successful song have legs and move forward. This is the type of thing that I really geek out about because I ran a record label for 13 years. And, to me, this is the excitement of doing this work. So without any further ado, let me introduce my esteemed panel, Tara Beikae, Sheila Hozhabri, and Cassie Petrey. Cassie, let's get started with you because you worked with the band longest. So can you sort of walk us through your involvement, and we'll sort of start at the beginning and move through?
Yeah, so for sure. So I own a digital marketing agency called CrowdSurf, and the season of Fifth Harmony, for those of you who don't know, they were actually individuals who auditioned for a show called The X Factor, and it was the USA version. And I was one of the digital producers for that show that season. So I actually saw them do their individual auditions before they were placed together as a group, which was a really, kind of, cool and interesting experience to watch. And I think that people, on the show and, both that worked on the show and people that were watching it, like, I think everyone always loved them, but I don't think they were kind of an underdogs in a sense. I don't think people expected them to get to top 5. They ended up placing, pretty high in the show. They didn't win, but they went really far. And they're always kind of, sort of underdogs, and, they grew so much every week. And they ended up, not winning the show, but they ended up Sony, who was kind of the entity that is contracted to, they get sort of first option at signing people from the show. Sony knew that they wanted them, but like didn't know what place to place them. So they actually hired CrowdSurf to kind of handle digital marketing in the interim, and really just kind of handle, like, they didn't have like a team. So just handle like random stuff and communication until they did have a home. And they ended up at Epic, and we negotiated a deal to continue working as a digital marketing agency for the girls, while they were signed there. And they were with a different management firm at the time before they were working with Tara and Sheila, but was able to, work on, they found, they got their management firm home at that time. And I think the thing that people don't know, if you don't know Fifth Harmony super well, is like, Work From Home kind of felt like a first single, I think, to maybe like somebody in the general public, but there was a lot of work and songs that maybe weren't as successful or trying different things with them until they got to the point where this song worked. So, my team, as a digital marketing agency, worked on, several different projects, songs, images, styles, all that thing, over several years until sort of leading up to the moment where things were getting teed up for Work From Home. And I, was fortunate, able to, even though they moved teams, was able to still be a part of the team, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah. So then Tara and Sheila, you came on the scene at some point in there. Cassie was still part of the team. And what did you guys, Tara, why don't you just tell us, like, what was your first interaction with this band, and what did you think as a professional? Like, where were you like, oh, this band is going somewhere?
Oh, absolutely. We kind of came in after Worth It, and that had such a long run, for at radio and just everything, and that kind of set us up going into Work From Home. And kind of, for me, it was really exciting because I saw the potential. There was so much growth that the girls had from when they started to worth it. And then when we jumped in, I feel like I had so much to work with, and like us as a team, we were able to like jump in, kind of start rebranding a little bit, going into the next era, which was work from home and the 727 cycle. And yeah, that was really exciting for me because I got to get in and be creative and do what I do.
Sheila, do you want to piggyback?
Yeah,
were you guys on the same team? Were the two of you on the same team?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it was really exciting. I still remember when it all happened, and like Tara and one of our other former colleagues, like they were like, we're going like tonight and we're heading over to meet the girls, and like this is all coming together. And it was really exciting because it was something fresh. It was something new. It's always fun to work on a new project, especially when that already has some legs going, because then we get to come in and like work on taking it to that next level, which was really exciting. So yeah, I think we were very, very, very much looking forward to taking this on when we first heard about it. It was really exciting.
So for people who don't, I mean, I assume most of the people who are watching are in the music business, but for people who aren't, like, how do singles get picked? You know, like who picks the singles? Is it sort of a team decision, or is it like already set up by the label?
I don't know. I think it's different for everyone.
There isn't one answer to that question, unfortunately. I think it just depends.
I think a lot of people may think they get to pick, but it's not just their decision sometimes.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. I ran an independent label for 13 years and we definitely like had strong opinions and lots of conversations about singles. And the funny thing is, you know, back in the day when there wasn't digital, you know, you would pick a single and you'd work that single and that would be your choice. But nowadays, once an album is put up on streaming services, it's like often the people decide, like the fans decide, because like sometimes a cut that you didn't think would be a good single is like the biggest, the most streamed, like the most. So, and a lot of times people I think are going with that, like they're sort of testing it a little bit, and then like whatever gets people excited, that's where they focus.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first single is always the tricky one though, right? Because you don't have that, and more often than not, the album that song is going to be on is a new body of work. It's a new style. It's probably taking that artist to another level or a change in direction that they feel creatively. So that first single, I think, is always the more difficult one to pinpoint, because you want it to kind of showcase the new, what's happening, what's coming, but then also you want it to link back so that it's not straying too far. And that I think is the difficult one.
Yeah. So what kind of work did you guys have to do sort of a rebrand when you came in, you know, and took over? Like, what was it about, like the look of the band, the social media presence? Like, I mean, Cassie, you probably had a lot of work to do when you first came on with them, because I mean, they weren't a band, they were individual people who then came together and created a group. So it's like there's probably a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about like what that sort of meant, like when they were individuals on X Factor, and then maybe Sheila and Tara can talk about what that meant, like taking that image that, you know, from one record cycle to another, because I think they're pretty different things. You know, on the X Factor side, it was, you know, a lot of them didn't have social media. They were 15. It wasn't like you know, this was 8-9 years ago, so not every teenager necessarily had a Twitter account or it wasn't set up to be something that a lot of people would view. And you basically have a couple weeks with them to be like, okay, you're going to go on TV and a lot of people are going to find you. Let's figure out, let's figure out the best way to handle this. Let's get you a Twitter account if you don't have one. You know, I can't, you know, there's a lot of contestants. I don't have time to like handhold everything for you, but these are some things to look out for if you want to promote voting on the show, because voting was kind of the big focus at that point. It's like getting votes so you can stay on the show. Here are some things you can do to make sure that you're, you know, pushing people to vote for you. Here are some things you can post about. Here are the things you can't post about the giveaway, what's happening in the show. Like that's kind of more the stuff I was dealing with them at the beginning. And also they're 15, so they had parents around, so it was educating a lot of them too on like what should be posted, make sure you're, you know, watching out for these kind of things. So that was sort of like what it was like to get started. And then I think that, you know, I'll toss it to Sheila and Tara on what, you know, what it sort of means to rebrand, like once you kind of are going from, you know, already exist, but going from one, you know, record cycle to another.
Tara, I'm gonna let you take it because it starts with you, what you do.
Yeah, I'll start with the creative side of things. I know from Worth It to Work From Home, the sound kind of changed with the 727 album. And I feel like they were more mature. They were, you know, like they were just they were going to that next level. So for us, I thought it was important to bring in a new styling team. And from there, I kind of started growing into the girls considering new glam and new hair and makeup artists and new hairstyles, or, you know, just anything to kind of take them to that level, but not pushing it to where they're uncomfortable either. Cause they were really a part of the whole creative. Like we always would have like sketches, if it was like wardrobe, like they would be a part of it. They'd be super hands-on, and fittings into creative of like performances, TV appearances, album covers, just like anything. We were all like kind of working together on like making it like kind of like basically taking it to that next level, but still showing the elevation and the growth that the girls had. And yeah, I'll let Sheila kind of take it from the social media digital side.
Yeah, so I mean, when Tara does her magic, and then I get to come in and luckily I was able to be at a lot of the fit photo shoots and the video shoots, which was really helpful. So I could see where we were going, what the looks were going to be. And I will say, I think having Cassie's team continue to be a part of it was really, really helpful for us, because it helped us maintain the voice of the main social account. So we would manage the band account, and the girls were responsible for their own account. So that was on them. We didn't want to handle their own personal stuff. So we took care of the band account. And I think that having CrowdSurf continue on was really helpful to maintain that voice that had already been established for 4 years at that point, and really for the fans not to feel like there's a big disconnect. You know, we wanted it more to be like, hey, look at the girls now, hey, listen to the new music and how much it's evolved, not just, you know, oh, the social media voice doesn't sound like it did before. So taking both of those things and then elevating the language that we would use, and starting to pull all those creative elements from like the photo shoot into our new branding and everything. So everything started to step up to that next level by the time that we were ready to drop the first single. So it was working a lot with both of them actually, and making sure that everything felt cohesive.
I imagine, I mean, I don't know personally firsthand, but I imagine that when you have a band that started on a show like X Factor or, you know, The Voice or something like that, that their fans have kind of a different attitude towards them. They have more of like a proprietary, like they feel closer to a band because they feel like they had something to do with their success or their career path. So I imagine that's especially important for what you guys were doing in terms of how you presented them to their fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the Fifth Harmony fans, and they were not quiet. They were very vocal in their opinions, and so it was something that we did take into consideration. And I think at one point, one of the album covers got changed before us. One of the album covers got changed because of the fans and them voicing their opinions heavily on that. So I think that the fans did play a part in the whole process, from when Cassie started through when me and Tara were working with them. I think that they were definitely a part of it. And sometimes we were able to integrate them in some really fun ways and help them feel like we wanted them to feel listened to as well. You know, we definitely could hear their opinions, and the girls heard it, and we wanted to integrate those in where we could.
Another part of this crazy business that a lot of people don't really understand from the outside is that there's so much work between when a song gets recorded, when an album gets recorded, and when the single hits, you know, like when you get a hit. And I feel like, you know, can you talk a little bit about, because I'm sure you guys had to walk them through that process as well. Like, you know, this isn't just overnight. And actually it's gotten weirder now. I feel like with streaming and digital, because people are expecting things to just be like overnight. Like, I mean, I hear from labels all the time, like, oh, an artist just delivered the album. Now we're going to put it on Friday. And it's like, that's so different from how it used to be. I mean, it used to be like these months would go by and, you know, there's all this work that goes in. Can you talk a little bit about just, you know, what happened between, you know, from A to B to actually the single coming out?
Yeah.
Maybe Tara.
On me. Okay, so oh my God, I don't even know where to start. So when we figured out what the first single was going to be, we kind of had to start with a photo shoot. You know, that was like our album cover shoot into our single. And then leading from there, we had to go and shoot a video, but we actually shot 2 videos back to back because scheduling was about to get crazy because there's a lot of promo that goes along with putting out a single and sustaining that single. So we shot 2 videos back to back. Then we ended up traveling, so we had a few shows. And then we went into dropping Work From Home, which was our first single. And we actually went on, like, I think we performed on Good Morning America. And then we went on a radio blitz promo tour across America. We were working, it was called Work Across America. That was the promo. And we split up each girl into different regions. Like I had the Northwest, Sheila had, I don't know, the South or
Southeast.
I don't remember. Yeah. And we split up the girls. And so each girl had a member of the team go with them. And we went to like 5 different states in 3 days and really promoted that single, which usually you don't get that when you have one artist. You can't fly an artist to like 100 radio stations in a matter of 4 or 5 days. But so we started with that. And then, you know, we kind of created a storm from there. And we just kind of started rolling out the cycle and the plan. And it was just a whirlwind from there. But then Sheila can jump into kind of release day and like what we had planned and kind of all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, once we had the go ahead that, all right, this is the song we're going with, it was all the levers start to get pulled at that point. And working really closely with the label team and making sure that, you know, we're cohesive in everything that we're doing. And for the radio blitz that we did, which I mean, I think everyone on the team would argue was definitely a big part of the success of that song. And as Tara said, something we could not have done with a solo artist. This was definitely something unique that we were able to do with the band. And it just, you know, the girls were everywhere, even though it was only one of them, but they were everywhere. And we were able to utilize Snapchat, actually. They had just released or just come through with their official account, which allowed, we could have up to 5 people feeding in content to an official account, which was great because I was able to give access to each individual girl via their own account. And then they were able to just feed in all their content from that week onto the Snapchat story. And so fans were able to follow along really well just by following the official account and see everything that was happening. And the girls were sending messages to each other and checking in with one another. And it was fun because you still felt that cohesiveness between them, even though they were all apart. And then beyond that, I mean, it was a whirlwind until we reached album release. But to your question, I mean, it took us, we didn't hit number 1 till May, I think. And we started the process in January. So yeah, it was, and the song dropped in early March, but it was a lot of work between then when it actually released when we hit number 1. And a lot of work, and the girls, you know, they were working nonstop. It was really, really intense. Yeah, it was, we were everywhere. We were everywhere.
It's so funny to me because I feel like, you know, when you talk to young people or fans or students or, you know, people who don't, or really regular people who don't get the business, it's like they think that, you put out a song and then you're famous, right? Like they don't understand. Or even young artists, like when I would talk to young artists, they'd be like, oh, well, when I get famous, then I can relax. And I'm like, oh my God, you have no idea. Like when you have a hit, or when you're working a song in a way that it's like moving, the work becomes exponential. It's like, and you have no idea how hard it is and you have these 20-hour days. You just don't, it's not a thing where it's like, oh, now we can relax. And then for artists that have long-term success and long careers, it's cycles and cycles of that, right? Like it's so crazy to me that people think this is an easy job, like somehow. It just seems.
Yeah, and I think the best thing I can compare it to is like campaigning for a political office. Like it is nonstop, and Tara knows better than everybody else on this panel about, like, it isn't just the time you see them on screen or you see them doing interviews. The day starts so much earlier than that, and it ends later than that. And it is, and I'll let her jump into those days, but it's what you see is just like part of it, whether that is the months or even just a day.
Yeah, it was definitely like a puzzle trying to schedule everything with the girls, because it was hard because there was 5 of them. So you do have to take that into consideration. Like, let's say a day and like an appearance, a performance day, if we did GMA, we would start at midnight doing glams because our call time was 4 a.m. and we get like 45 minutes per girl to do hair and makeup. And then we'd have to like arrive and do sound check. And then we have 30 minutes to change, go into performance. And then our promo day would start from there. Like, and we wouldn't end until like 11 p.m. at night. And then it would start the next day, or we'd have to go into fittings after the end of the day. Cause again, there's 5 of them and fittings take 5 to 8 hours. So it's a lot of work that goes into it. The girls worked so hard. They didn't stop. They didn't complain. They were just they were very hardworking. I have to give them that. They definitely put in that work in this album cycle too. And then we had to prepare for tour, and then we had more performances, more promo. We did international promo. It was just literally nonstop. And it was times where we didn't have time to rehearse for a performance or another video shoot, and then we'd have to do more video shoots on top of all that, magazine shoots, just like phoners. I'd have to have them do it in the car on the way to like set. It was just all the things, and I still had to juggle 5 personal schedules as well. On top of that, they're human. They need grooming. They need, to eat and sleep. So,
some sleep, at least.
Yeah,
some sleep,
a little bit.
Not much sleep, sounds
yeah,
like.
No, I tried my best in that part, but yeah, it's a lot of work that goes into it.
It is a lot of work. And a promo cycle is a defined thing. Like that's the other thing. It's like, maybe people listening don't understand why it's so packed, like why the schedule is so packed, but it's packed because there's a time frame. Like this is the cycle that we're doing. Like we're promoting a single, and this is, we only have like a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is that we're working on it. And so you have to get everything in there. And yeah, I totally have been that person managing the band that's in the car doing phoner after phoner on a drive to the venue to do the sound check. And then you do more phoners or in-person interviews at the venue after sound check, backstage. I mean, oh my God. It's like it never, ever ends. It's so crazy. Yeah. So that's amazing. I mean, and then, it's so after all that work to then have the song actually hit #1 is like so incredible. Like that must have felt just like, oh, it was worth it. All that work was finally worth it. Yeah. But then, so tell us what happens after. So then you hit #1, and then what is the next part of that? Because I assume that there was then more work to be done after that.
Yep. Then it's the follow-up.
Yeah, the next, and in between there we had the album release, so that was the other piece of the pie, and announcing the tour. So I mean, all of this is just feeding the whole machine, right? So we had that as well that we were preparing for, and on my plate, just selling tickets and making sure everybody knew that we were coming. And the album release day, which was, the girls actually had to do X Factor in the UK. So we ended up being in the UK for our release day, which what isn't normal, really, I think, for most US artists to not be in the US on their release day. But we planned a really, I think it was fun. I think they had fun. But it was a fun day of sort of doing like a London takeover, and we had them Spice Girls it up on a double-decker bus through Leicester Square, and we did the London Eye, which was so much fun, and it was like a minute to just ourselves for a little bit. And we did afternoon tea, and then they did a Q&A with fans, and then we had a signing. And as we were going through the day, we kind of realized like we could wrap this up right at 7:27, and somehow it happened. And we got a great picture of the girls with all the album signage and everything around them at the store, at the record store, with 7:27 on there, and it was a lot of fun. So we tried to build in some fun where we could and make the days enjoyable when possible, for sure. But yeah, I mean, the next thing was getting on to the next single, and what's that going to be, and what's it going to look like.
Yeah, just on to the next thing. Totally.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, for you guys, like people listening, we just did Next Gen U last week, so that's our student event, and so I'm sort of like still in student, like talking to students' mindset. So it's like the thing that's obvious to me when talking to people who have your jobs is like you have to be super detail oriented and like really concerned with logistics, because this is all just like juggling all these moving parts all the time. So I mean, what would you say is the most like challenging aspect of your job?
I would say like for me, it is making sure that everything's buttoned up and kind of putting myself in the other people's shoes on the team. So like when I know like, Tara or Sheila are out on the road and they're dealing with 5 people, like I'm kind of like, okay, what is like the fan base saying online that they may not have had time to see or time, have missed, or let's make sure we definitely get the post up on time because they're not going to have time to double check or remind us. I think it's figuring out like, what's going on with the team on the ground and how can I assist them while I'm not there, and how can I be they're a part, an extension of their team to, really help and do the things that they just don't have time to do at a really busy time like this right now.
Tara, what would you say?
Yeah.
I feel like for me, as the day-to-day, it was really hard and challenging for me to be on the ground all day and then having to come back and still do my job, as in doing the logistics, doing, like preparing for the next thing, getting back to all my emails, because I would have like, at the end of the day, it would be like 600 inbox, and I still have to do approvals and all the things on top of being present with the girls, because there's always something. Like I had to be at fittings with each one. I had to do this. Like I literally had to be at 2 places at once sometimes. But I don't know how I managed to do that, but no sleep. But it was definitely, that was probably the most challenging part, is managing day to day and actually doing all the logistics and the budgeting and all of that on top of, and trying not to have any loose ends and drop the ball on anything. So that was the challenging part for me.
Sheila, how about you?
Yeah, mine was probably just maintaining the voice and making sure that we were staying consistent with everything, and that imaging, get all the work that Tara's doing to actually get me the assets, and then I want to make sure that everything is going when it needs to go and is cohesive, and also just keeping up with all 5 girls. I was also dealing with some of like their individual, like I'm having issues with this, I'm having issues with that. So kind of managing not just the group account, but making sure their own stuff was buttoned up, and making sure that they were as efficient as possible, so that when they were traveling and they were doing promo, it would be a very easy, like, hey, here's an asset, here's a hashtag, make sure to tag these people, this is what you need for radio tomorrow, and make sure they have everything that they need. So staying on top of that, especially, sometimes traveling makes it easier because you're in their face and you can make sure that it happens. But other times, kind of like Tara was saying, like when you're actually home and at a desk and you're not on site, it lets you get through your emails and make sure none of that stuff gets lost. So it's kind of a balance between the two, I think, sometimes. But yeah, keeping up with the emails when you are on in the middle of an album and single release promo is just, that's the brutal part. And unfortunately, that's when everyone needs a lot of approvals because it's for stuff that's happening in the next 48 hours. So that was another thing where we'd finish the day and then it's like, okay, I got to go sit and make sure there aren't any major red flags I've missed.
This is giving me such PTSD because I was, I managed a band that went gold in the UK, and so it was all UK. So we were constantly flying from the West Coast of the US to the UK, and then like just being on emails during photo shoots, during things like that, because the time difference made it so that like all the emails would come in at once, and I was just like, oh my God, it's just like, I feel like I missed half of the things that happened because I was just like trying to do both things and sort of just half doing both things. Like it's such a crazy thing. It's such a crazy job. But, you know, people who are interested in management, I think it's really funny when they're like, oh, it's really glamorous. Like I want to, it's like a sexy job. I'm like, oh my God, you know, talk to a manager who's been up for like 30 hours and they still have like stuff that they need to plan for the next day, and they can like maybe get 2 hours of sleep that night. Like, you know, glamour has its, you know, ups and downs, positives and negatives. So then when the band would tour, Tara, would you tour with them? Would you go with them on the road?
I would pretty much be everywhere with them, like everything except for, I think I like would start some tours and then leave and come back if I needed to. But for the majority, I was pretty much there every day, even off days.
And was the band still like underage when you guys worked with them, or were they older by then?
I think they all turned 18. Like they were about to turn 18. I know Dinah and Camila were the last two, right? I think. Yeah, I think they just about.
Because
I think they were all 18. They weren't 21.
They weren't 21.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other set of, because when that band that I was mentioning, when I started working with them, they weren't old enough to get into clubs.
Oh, yeah.
So they'd be headlining, but they couldn't technically be there. So like we had to keep them in like a holding cell before they went on stage. Yeah. That's another crazy thing.
And the UK is really strict about that too. I think more so than here is what I've noticed from being out with different people. Super
strict about that. Yeah. But they also like serve beer to like people who are clearly 14. So
it's weird. Yeah, for sure.
It's a balance. So, and then, you know, this band, thank God, had a number one song. And so then a lot of fun stuff got to happen, like the awards shows. So, you know, tell us about that. Because that is, I think those are the fun things.
I do love award shows. It was always so fun preparing for them, but still super stressful because we'd have to put out so many fires. But yeah, award show prep was probably, the girls would always get so excited. Like we'd find out we're performing, or you're like nominated first, and then you get the performance slot, and then you're like, oh my gosh, okay, so what's the creative? So we'd all get like on a team, we'd have a team meeting or a team call, and then the girls would decide who they wanted to be their creative director. And then we'd get like treatments in, and then the girls would decide which direction they wanted to go creatively with the performance. And from there, it would be like logistics, scheduling, rehearsals, fittings, budgeting the performance to see what we had. And then from there, we'd have to execute. And the girls would usually block like a week or two in between promo scheduling. We try to kind of fit it in there. And we'd probably rehearse for other things at the same time because we just didn't have time. But then from there we would, then we'd have, usually for an award show performance, the girls would have custom pieces made for them for performance outfits. So we'd come up with a designer, and then we'd have other fittings for red carpet. And then we'd kind of go into like show day, and that was like so much fun, but super stressful as well because we had time constraints and hair and makeup always took the longest. And so we'd always have one hair and one makeup. But sometimes I feel like we'd have a few award shows where we had like 2 hair and 2 makeup, but it just depended on the timing because we wouldn't get camera blocking times or rehearsal times or performance times until like the night before or 2 days before. So we'd have to kind of work around that. And then the girls would have to do like probably like 4 or 5 fittings in between rehearsals. We'd have designers come to the rehearsal space so they knew what they were getting themselves into, because sometimes they don't realize how much dancing goes into a Fifth Harmony performance, and shoes and grips, and things would tear, and we'd have to start from square one, and we'd have to have everything be cohesive, so we can't have just random. It was a lot, but it was fun. And then we'd have show day where they would get ready. It would be 5 to 6 hours, and then we'd get into their outfits, red carpet, do that, go backstage, and there would be all hands on deck. There was probably like 20 people trying to change each girl, and then get them ready for the performance. And then, it was fun after that, after they got off stage. But yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into there.
I will say I felt like if you were a female, your job description went out the window when we were trying to get them ready to get on stage for a live performance. It did not matter what your job was. If you were available and you were female, you were in there helping get these girls dressed. Like it was a lot. So yeah, it was, but it was fun. I mean, we were talking the other day, and the VMAs that year were one of my favorite, because the girls actually weren't performing, but they were nominated for 3 awards, and I think it was one of the only award shows that year where we actually just got to sit back and enjoy it and watch, and they won, which obviously added to the fun of the evening. But yeah, it was, those were always very long days, but we found the fun in it, I think, when we could.
That's awesome. Somebody asked in the chat, which I think is a pretty good question, because you guys can speak to it from not only this band, but like other artists you've worked with. So like, what's the schedule of a year? Like, let's say you have, so in this situation, the album was recorded in January, right? And then it was released, well, whatever, it was ready in January, but then it was released in March, and then it went to #1 in May. But what does like the rest of the year look like? Because there are cycles. I mean, at some point the band has to go into the studio to record, like, there's a way that this plays out, and it is chaotic for the promo cycle, but that's not the whole year. Obviously, that's just a like compressed little piece of time. So can you just speak to like the cycle, like an album cycle, basically?
I mean, I feel like that year was solely dedicated to 727 from beginning to end, for us at least. But I mean, it was the singles, the second single, it was the tour around the album. So yeah, everything we did that year was centered around 727 in some form or fashion, from even work from home into the tour and everything.
But what I mean is like, there'd be like periods of activity and then periods of inactivity. Like the girls would get to go home, everybody would chill out for a week, and then something else would happen? Or was it just nonstop that whole year?
For the most part, it was nonstop. The girls had like 2 weeks off, I feel like, in like July, I feel like before tour, before rehearsals. But after that, it was literally, we went into tour rehearsals, then we went into, oh my goodness. Then we did more promo. Then we did the European tour, South American tour. We did a few more award shows, and then we ended the year with Jingle Ball. That was a whole nother like 2-week radio winter tour. And then they got like Christmas, New Year's off. And then they start the next year recording songs for the next album. That's kind of where we kind of left off. But it was like a year of nonstop from January to December. They barely had any time off.
That's intense.
No,
That's
they really
totally crazy.
We try to get
I mean,
off here and there, but it was very.
I would say, I mean, from the outside, it looked like basically once we did that GMA performance before the radio blitz, and when we dropped work from home. But I would say even before that, I mean, everyone went into the year knowing at that point, like, this is it. We're about to hit the ground running really hard, and there's not going to be a lot of breaks.
Wow. That is insane. So Tara, were you were there day to day, but you were with a bigger management firm or a different firm?
Yeah, so I was at Maverick. So so was Sheila, and I was the day-to-day for the girls, but I had worked with, my boss for years before then. But yeah, Fifth Harmony was definitely one of the most hit the ground running, hands-on job experiences I had, because it wasn't just one artist. You literally had to cater to 5 artists. So that kind of made me like nonstop and super hands-on, which was fun.
Definitely.
Learned a lot.
Is that still your job? Do you still do day-to-day management?
Yeah.
Do you what do you love about it? If you still do it, you must actually like it. So
yeah, I recently worked with another girl group, which was really funny. So I just have been like on this girl group craze right now. So I don't know. I love seeing the growth of an artist. I love being creative. I just love seeing like the performance aspect, seeing everything come to life. I just find that really fascinating. And when you hit that number 1, it's just it's the most rewarding feeling for management and the artist. I love it. I just have so much fun. So.
And I know Cassie's story is that she got into this crazy business by being a fan. Is that your story too? Were you a fan, or were you just interested in the music industry? Like, how did you get into this line of work?
I love music. I loved every aspect of music. And I got into my job because one of my best friend's older sisters did hair for the Pussycat Dolls. And she was like, here's an email, hit the label. And then I started from there. I worked at a label, and then I started with Larry when I was like 21, and, I haven't stopped since then. So.
How about you, Sheila? How'd you get into this?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us in this age group were fans of some really amazing, talented artists that came through in the late 90s and early 2000s that got us really excited about pop music. And yeah, I kind of knew when I was in my teens that like, this is what I want to do. I'd go to shows and I'd be more focused on, the people working and what was going on, the audience and how they were reacting versus like what was actually happening on stage sometimes. And yeah, just kind of went after it from there. And actually, Cassie and I have known each other for a very long time now. I'm not going to say how long, but a very long time. And it's been great because I feel like we both have a very similar mindset from like the perspective that we want to come at things with an artist and their fans. But we both have different ideas, and when we get to collaborate together, it's one of my favorite things. We have a lot of fun doing that. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, love of music and love of the things that we can create and the impact that can have both for like an individual person, a fan group, and then even into like philanthropic work and special moments that an artist can bring to, whether it's kids or raising money for some sort of organization. I think there's just so many amazing things you can do with it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's a really great question in the Q&A box that I want to read, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I think, having all of us just been through this crazy pandemic, I feel like mental health, wellness, just like personal well-being is so top of mind these days, because especially with a crazy schedule like that and this particular type of lifestyle, like a lot of artists end up going off the rails, but then a lot of us do too, executives. Like it's just really hard to, stay centered. So this person wrote, with such intense schedules, did you or the girls have rituals for finding a sense of center, peace, calm that you would use regularly to keep everyone in a settled frame of mind? Or did you have any rituals for celebrating your successes that were internal to the team and not reliant on external validation like awards or chart positions? That's an interesting question.
Not that I can think of, but I wish we would have. I think that whole experience taught me a lot. And I think that now, if I was going into something similar, I would have that. I would definitely make space for that, whether it's meditation in the morning or the evening, or just finding ways to do it. And yeah, and having moments of celebration where it's actually like recognizing the work that's been done. I think that if there are folks doing that regularly, I commend them. When we're in the middle of it, there almost wasn't time. I think I found myself just as recently as like a year or two ago reflecting on everything that we did and just being like, man, like what a year, like that was incredible what we pulled off. But in the moment, you're just, unfortunately, you don't always have that time to like to actually appreciate, like, we hit #1, this is amazing, because it's like, okay, what's the next single and when are you shooting the video for it? Then what are we gonna do to market it? So I wish there was a little bit more time, and actually maybe after all of this everyone's gone through with COVID and lockdown, that maybe people will take a little bit more time to like step back and be like, hey, let's appreciate this moment, or hey, let's take a second to just have a day. And I think hopefully mental health will become a bigger conversation, especially after this year. But I remember literally taking like 2 days over Labor Day, because finally I was just like, I need to like turn off for a day. Like because it was a very intense year. Tara, what have you learned?
What have you learned?
I remember our tour manager, he set up a fun 4th of July day part, like after, like I think it was the end of the South American tour that year. Yeah, it was
Brazil.
We all he set up a barbecue on the roof. We had the pool. We had just like the best times. The girls like threw each other in the pool. It was just so much fun. And we did like a dance party. It was just, I remember that day. That was like one of the days that we were like, oh, it just feels good to be normal for a second. And then, you're able to recover and go on to the next thing. But it was really nonstop. You really didn't have time to like sit and enjoy the moment or find time to like meditate or anything. Like I would have to wake up, like sometimes some of the girls would want to go to the gym, and that was kind of their time. So we'd go like early in the morning and before call time and kind of like run it off or jump in the pool or whatever. But other than that, it was really like, I wish we had more time to do activities like meditation or something to kind of cope with just being like, you need everything to stop for a second. But that was probably what I learned a lot that year.
And I think too that it's like when, in general, when artists finally like, you don't get to control when you get a moment like a song working, like Work From Home did. And I think you almost feel guilty not putting everything you can into that moment. It's hard to find time in the schedule to stop when an artist does finally get that like lightning in a bottle, so to speak. You're so scared of it going away. You feel guilty for not putting everything behind it. And if you don't put everything behind it, another artist will. So it's like, as much as meditation and time off would be great, I think the whole music industry would have to collectively agree to that in order for an artist to be able to have a #1 song and also have time to enjoy it. Especially when it's like your first one, it's hard to find that balance, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think sleep pretty much took precedence over everything at that point. It was just, if you had a moment, you wanted to sleep.
That's interesting. And, I do wonder, I feel like, maybe that's a question for artists who are older, who've had multiple hits, that'd be interesting to see what their routine is. It's like, if you've been through it, because the first time you're through it, I mean, you can barely believe it's happening. And then you just like can barely keep up with what's going on. I mean, I remember how that was. And especially when it's fast like that with the artists that I managed, it was 10 days between nobody knowing who we were and then paparazzi chasing us down the street on motorbikes, right? Like 10 days. So that was it happened so fast. It was like overwhelming. We're just like, what is happening here? And then you're just like, yesterday, it's kind of like having a baby. It's like, yesterday I was just a person. Today, oh my God, I have to take care of this creature. And it's like, I don't care. Nobody cares about me anymore. It's all about this guy. So anyway, Well, that was fabulous. It was great to talk to you guys. Did you want to add anything else or thoughts that conversation has brought up before we sign off? I know that the song had a kind of a renaissance this year. It came back, which was kind of exciting, I'm sure, for everybody to feel like, oh my God, 5 years ago this happened.
Now everyone works from home, so it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. Exciting to talk to you, and congratulations 5 years later on all that hard work, because it really paid off, and you guys did great.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Take care, you guys.